What's going on, insecticidal gang? Lucky y'all get me on camera twice in 1 week. So as you could tell by the title, today we're going to have a conversation about something that it gets talked about in like the deeper circles of the community, but a beginner may not understand this, but it's seasonality in Sarracenia. So what I have on the table right now, this is a flava, and these are two Oreophilas. So Sarracenia flava rugelii, and then these are two Oreophilas. As you can see, you have a lot of dead traps, a lot of stuff going brown. You can see over here, same thing. You see a couple, let me see, this one has a few Phyllodia on it. Not a lot, but typically what you're looking at, again, on the Oreophila, look at the pictures. You can tell these are old pictures. They're starting to fade, which is what Oreophila and flava do around August, going into September. They are early season plants. Same thing with this one. You just see these old traps. I'm here to tell you there's nothing wrong with your plant. They are early season plants, meaning they usually come out early with the big pictures, you know, the big, huge, beautiful pictures in your March and your early April and May. That's when you see like the most robust growth out of the Oreophilas and the flavas, you know. And then as the summer progresses, you start getting more spindly, you know, leaves coming out, or you may not get any leaves at all, you know, which is the case for a lot of Oreophila clones. This one actually is putting up a picture right there, but as you can see, you got your curved Phyllodia, which is a physical characteristic of Oreophila, and it's a lot of them. You can see them on this plant too. Just an absolute ton of Phyllodia on this plant. So in your collection, what I recommend people do is, yes, you want, a lot of people chase the flavas because those are the ones that are known for getting just absolutely humongous. Like I've got a 3-footer over there that came up in the spring, and a whole horde of 2-footers. This one's a young plant, so I would imagine this one in the next spring should probably hit 20 inches if I had to guess, maybe pushing into that 2-foot range, just based off of how big the crown is. Same thing for these Oreophilas. You should see some decent, really robust pictures. And then what'll happen is as the season progresses, you'll see them actually change their shape and go more into a smaller picture that still catches bugs, but the plant is using them for photosynthesis going into the fall and winter where, you know, dormancy happens. But if you want what they call full season interest, let me show you something. I hope y'all can actually see me through this absolute wall of pictures. So what a lot of us in the hobby coin the fall is leuco season. That's Leucophylla. They are fall dominant plants, but in actuality, it's really leuco, rubra, and a lot of season, because all of those throw out some really nice pictures in the fall. So usually, depending on where you live, this can change, and especially if you grow in a greenhouse or outside. In the greenhouse, this will happen a little earlier than us outside growers, but usually around late July going into August, the Leucophylla do the exact opposite of the last two plants that we showed, which was the flava and the Oreophila. They send out really, really small pictures, spindly pictures, and a lot of Phyllodia in the spring and summer. But then in the fall, they take all of that energy that they gathered through the full grower season and send out these monstrous pictures. So let's look at this plant right here, for instance. Hope y'all can see this. This little picture right here, that was a spring picture. This little picture right here, that was a spring picture. This little picture right here, same deal. But then look at this monster. Look at this monster. And you can tell they're not even the same color. They even change color sometimes between the spring and the fall traps. So this is what the full plant looks like, and you can see the new pictures versus the old pictures. I love the lid on this thing and how it looks. Same thing here. See, this is and I also got to send a special shout out. Every plant on this table, except for this one, which is a lot of night that I got from my friend Mike B. Every plant on this table came from my good friend Jared over at Plant Everything Carnivorous. I'm gonna link his social media and everything in the description so that you guys can keep up with his sales. But this Alata and these 3 Leucophylla all came from him. I went over to his house and actually told him, like, man, I'm a little light in Leucos. And oh my God, he just started whipping stuff out. And was like, man, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And I was like in a whirlwind because I just couldn't believe the different shapes and sizes that he was showing me. I was like, I almost want to take them all. So I'll link his social media, follow his social media. He also has an eBay page. I'll link that as well in the description so that you guys can tap in with some of these maybe smaller, lesser known growers and still get great quality plants. Now back to the plants. I'm gonna show you this Leucophylla right here. This one came from ICPS seed, and this one, it has just amazing color. But as you can see, same thing. You see all of these small, tiny pictures that is sent up in the spring. They're all spent now. They caught bugs. They got all the sun they could get. And then you see just this full bush of Phyllodia. Look at all of those Phyllodia. But then you see what's happening in the fall. These 3 right here are fall pictures. Look at the color on that one. Oh my God. This thing is nasty. Loving that one right there. And then here's this beast. This is another Leucophylla, same thing. This one is from Conica National Forest. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. But yep, you got same deal. Your spring pictures, look how skinny, the spring pictures were. This was a decent one, but it was still real skinny. But then in the fall, it sends these monsters up, and look, the flies are on them on the video. Can't even shake the flies off. But man, you want to put both spring and fall growers in your collection so that you have full season interest. Not mentioned are like Purple Rare, for instance. They grow through the entire season. So you'll always have full season interest with those. But a lot of times people will get a bunch of flowers, for instance, and then once the flowers burn out, they're like, well, dang, that's where these guys come in. But let's talk about Alata. Same thing here. This one is from Hancock, Mississippi, Hancock County, Mississippi. Same thing here. I'm gonna hold these fall pictures up against the spring pictures. Look at this. Look at how tiny they are. See, a lot of people see the spring pictures on Leucophylla and Alata, and it turns them off. They're like, yeah, they're too small. They're not as big and showy as flowers. But a lot of times you don't get to see what they do in the fall. Here's Alata Night, which is the parent to a lot of your favorite hybrids. But same thing here. Great color. This is a new picture, and it's already spent. It's full of bugs up to here. But man, look at these fall pictures versus the spring pictures. The spring pictures did that job. They gather energy for the plant, and then here come the big boys to catch all of the moss and stuff. And another thing with these 2 plants on the table, the species, I don't think there's another species, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, that catches more insects than Leucophylla and Alata. These things, like these pictures, barely get a chance to open and color up before a lot of times they are chock full of bugs. Like I can literally see a fly inside of this one trying to get out right now. But before we go, I got one more to show you. This is my favorite one, Wilkerson's Red Rocket. And it won't even fit on the table. Look at this thing. This thing, I measured it yesterday. I think it measured out at 29 inches, if I remember correctly. I'm hoping you guys can see that in the top of the frame. But yeah, like it's in a 6-inch pot, 5-inch pot, 5-inch by 6-inch tall. I actually got this plant at the beginning of the spring and divided it. So I have another division of it growing out there, and it's also sending up a fall picture as well. but from me dividing it, the plant pouted. So this big picture right here is the first picture that I've gotten off this plant this season. Everything else it put up was Phyllodia. Sounds kind of boring, but because I already have this plant in the bog garden, I already knew what was going to happen in the fall. So I just put this plant out in full sun and I let these big Phyllodia come up, which are nothing but solar panels. These are the plant's solar panels. They just gather energy for the plant. And it did this all spring and summer. And now look what we're blessed with. Look how big this picture is. And beautiful. Look at the color. And this thing hasn't even colored up all the way yet. It's still like an ashy red, ashy burgundy color. This thing gets a very beautiful deep red on it. But this is one of the longest pictures in the collection right now. This one right here. And the one in the bog garden hasn't even gotten started yet. We'll be back with a video on that one once it opens, if it puts out a huge picture. Last year it was 3 feet. I'm personally hoping that it hits 40 inches this year. Moral of the story, this is the end of the video. Go get some Leucos, go get some Elatas, go get some Rubras. People say they're boring. In my opinion, they aren't. I'll see y'all on the next one. Happy Insecticidal Day.